We are still unpacking the story of Mrs. Dorothy Ann Gould, and she's still sticking around, telling us stories off camera. Ma'am, thank you so much for sticking around, really. Your story is amazing. And I think this is not enough. You need a 5 days documentary for you to really unpack everything that happened for the past 50 years of your career.
Well, yeah, there are a lot of stories I won't tell.
Yes. Which ones are those? I'm curious.
Well, I had to find out who kicked me in Titus Andronicus while I was a dead body, because I couldn't stand up for the curtain call. Somebody kicked me with an army boot and ruptured my hamstring, and nobody ever owned up.
Is it?
Those are the kind of stories, you know.
And when was that?
When was that? Man, 1995.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you see, the things that happened in the past that don't happen anymore.
Yeah.
I clapped somebody on the ear by mistake. It's terrible to hit someone on the ear.
Uh-huh.
That guy came back to the dressing room and he got me in a corner quietly. Fuck. Nobody even heard anything. And I just kept my mouth shut. Can you imagine now if an actor went and clubbed his fellow actress? He said, that's what it feels like. Oh, scary.
What?
There are lots of backstage stories.
Yeah. What? Like I'm shocked. And nobody ever found out about this.
No. The same actor broke my thumb in rehearsals, and I just carried on because I didn't want to make a fuss. That's the low self-esteem side. That's the side of, I'm not worth it, my thumb, it doesn't matter, I must get on with the job.
What?
You've got to stand up for yourself sometimes. And I don't really, I'm maybe starting to now that I'm nearly 72.
Wow, so now what then happens? Like did you didn't do anything at all?
No. What do you do if somebody's doing something rude to you while you're on stage and you're speaking and they're, doing something behind you and squeezing you or whatever? You can go and sign a petition, you can go to the director and say sexual harassment or whatever. But these are new things, standing up for oneself, intimacy coaching and all that.
Yes.
Not when I was young. When I was young, you kind of, unfortunately, put up with stuff.
So many things happened many years back without anybody really advocating against these things for perpetrators within the industry to take accountability of the things that they were doing.
No.
So sad.
No.
That is so
That's
sad.
the past.
Well, it's so sad though. But it's the past. Well, we carry on, right? Yeah, we carry on. And another groundbreaking story of your career was when you were part of Othello, working alongside Dr. John Kani, and I think you've mentioned this before.
It was 1988
Yes,
at the
and that
Market
was
Theatre,
and
it was the first time that a black actor had played Othello in South Africa.
And
before
there was
that,
an
there was some
argument
white
before.
guy, Robert Stevens from London,
Yes.
who came out to it, and he was, I think, drunk all the time. Bright John hasn't had a drink in his life. But it was a huge thing for John. I remember him saying, I didn't study this at my school. I didn't have these opportunities, and it was true. To suddenly say, you weren't taught about Shakespeare well at school, now you must play Othello and extract everything from it. He was fantastic. He was fantastic as Claudius in Hamlet.
And you had to focus, or rather concentrate for 10 hours on each scene.
Yes, we rehearsed all day. And Janice Husman, who was directing, said, you're the only actress I know, Dorothy, who can focus for 10 hours and not ask for tea breaks or whatever. Because I was fascinated. I was learning so much.
Yeah. You also worked on comedy. And Hlomla Dandala says in an interview with Anelem Doda that it's quite difficult to work on comedy. And I heard you say that before, saying that it's quite difficult to work on comedy.
Yes.
What makes it
well,
difficult?
You know, if you've got that bubble of humor and you're having fun, I know now. I think I let myself play a lot more.
Yeah.
But yes, there is a technical kind of construct. You know, somebody has the feed line, somebody has this, and then there's the payoff. And then the audience laugh. And then you don't want to wait until they finish laugh. They laugh, 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 and you hit it at the climax and come in. You feel the audience much more in comedy because their laughter buoys you up. I'm not saying that in dramatic and tragic pieces you also feel something. And it's like a thread, a silver thread between you and the audience, and you feel if you've lost them. If you go and they've gone, you've got to get them back. But you can't strain to get them back. You've got to say, "Come and sit here."
Yeah, but now what is a required technique for one to really master comedy, since it's so difficult? It's not as easy as doing these other elements or genres within storytelling.
I mean, why is it? I mean, look, think of someone like Robin Williams.
Yes.
Spike Milligan. A lot of the great comics in the world have been depressed. Depressive people, Robin Williams himself said. So I think that there's a need to make other people laugh, or it's like I've said for myself, you're hiding behind this bubbling laughter and everybody's with you and they're affirming you by going,
yes.
And it is fun. Now I'm dying to do a comedy again.
Yeah. What then? Let's go back to Molora a bit. What goes behind preparing for a character that was supposed to be played by a black woman, and you're a white woman, and you have to embody this character? What goes behind preparing for?
You know, it was a play that she was creating. The story of the Oresteia is about revenge. The two children end up killing the mother because she murdered the father. It's a 2,500-year-old story. So she was using that. When she got stuck with me, Yael Faber, she then decided to tell the story within the confines of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So I became a white person in court with my children. And it became about forgiveness rather than retribution and revenge. So at the moment in the story where Lebo and Lindy, or Electra and Orestes, are about to cut their mother's head off, they lifted her out of the dust and the sand. So the whole construct changed because they got me instead. But I'm sorry, this is not what you're asking, but you know, when I say you've got to work like a detective, you've got to do whatever you need to do.
You have to be observant.
When I did Titus Andronicus opposite Sir Anthony Sher, I went to the gym because she was a warrior, this woman. And I really packed the muscles and all. Because why? I had to pull a jeep with Sir Anthony Sher sitting inside on stage with a big thick chain around my stomach. Now, how can you do that? It seems like it's impossible to pull a whole jeep on stage. But I made jolly sure that I was fit enough to do it and strong enough to do it.
Wow. And we've already spoken again about Lindy Wechidi, and she did an amazing job on Mubango. And she became, she was that character that one would love to hate. In as much as she was a villain, I think she was so fond of, like, South Africans were so fond of him.
Well, like Pamela Nomvete.
Yes, like Pamela Nomvete, yes. But now her character was replaced by a 15-year-old Kanyimbawa who doesn't have any training.
On Movango?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were on Molora, who was replaced by Jabulile Shabalala.
But now, on Movango, she was replaced by a 15-year-old Kanyimbawa who doesn't have any training.
She must have something. You know, we've got a new actress on Generations, and she comes on camera and she's adorable, and you just love her. You know, some people have something, it's like shining your light without shining it too brightly and saying, look at me, look at me. Some people have a light. Marilyn Monroe had it. She could walk down the street and people didn't recognize her, but if she turned that light on,
Yes.
she shone. I guess it doesn't matter about the age, really.
I guess at the time we were looking at the caliber of this person's career, and we were also looking at her level of performance. We're looking at so many things, and
Well, look, Lindy was trained by Gibson Kente. A lot of actors at that stage were. And so, as fantastic as Lindy was, she didn't have the technique always. She had the technique for Movango, but after 4 performances in Hamburg, I remember she lost her voice because I used to do warm-ups. I do warm-ups on all the shows that I do with the actors. And she was learning this breathing now.
yes,
But if you work on your vocal cords, you will lose your voice. And Lindy and I got into such trouble one night from the director because she hadn't told us that her voice was gone.
Yeah.
So we got on stage in Hamburg, full house, and because she was doing it like that, I wasn't going to use my big voice. I also did it like that. And there was some important person and he was going to give us a job in Oxford or something. And we got into trouble for doing it like this. Why didn't you tell me? That's support. That's supporting. I could have saved myself and thought I'm still going to do my same performance. But my main mission was to support Lindy with tears running down her face because she'd lost her voice.
wow,
So, you know, everybody's got things to learn. Lindy knew that. And after her terrible accident where she was shot and she couldn't speak anymore, I worked and worked with her just to help her get some sound out. But again, there's no technique for that. There's only love.
yeah, they can only be love. They can only be love. And you worked on the first season of Rockville, alongside Mr. Shona Ferguson.
John Rockville.
Rockville, yes. You worked in the first season. And you played a villain, and it was
I loved it. I loved it. I looked after all the black diamonds.
yes. Well, before we wrap it up, because I think we've unpacked so much, but before we wrap things up, there's this question that Meg G asks on his podcast, and I think that's one of the most important questions, as to how do you want to be remembered when all things said and done, after 50 years of really giving, unleashing all that is that your creator has given you, after everything is said and done.
I want to be remembered as Mamzo. That's what my guys in Hillbrow call me. The Xhosa ladies on Malora call me Madori. I would like to just be remembered as somebody who tried to make other people happy. Yeah.
I think your journey is inspiring. A young girl that comes from from KZN with skin issues, who didn't have confidence, who had insecurities.
Fractured my skull twice,
Right.
bleeding out my nose.
Yes, and you've grown to become a veteran, a legend, someone that has produced performers that we are appreciating on our screens. I think that your story is a miraculous one, and it needs to be even more documented and celebrated.
Yes,
And
thank
with
you.
that,
Thank
I
you.
give you
I
applause.
thank my parents,
Yes.
and I really thank God for leading me on the way,
Yes,
guiding me.
yes. Thank you so much for making
Thank
time
you,
to be with
Gould.
us.
Thank you
and
so much.
I appreciate you for sharing your story and for just unleashing everything that is still left in you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, what an episode. What an episode. What a story. this was the Now
Let's hope we've got it, otherwise I'll have to come back and do my hair the same way.
Yes, we did. Now that was the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's all the time I have for you for this episode. We're bringing in more we're gonna bring in more industry professionals that are gonna make you walk away from each and every episode saying, "Ha! Now I know." From me to you, it's a very blessed one. Good evening, Kuluma. Bye bye.